Hi crafters, this is Nye with All Things for Created. Today we are going to be going through the steps of cutting the Mother's Day flower box card inside of Cricut Design Space. This file is huge. It has a lot of different elements. There are going to be things that we are going to be ungrouping, changing to score lines, rearranging so that way we can cut this design out in as few mats as possible using as few sheets of cardstock as well. So, like I said, I will be showing you this tutorial through Cricut Design Space. And the first thing is first, you want to make sure that you have opened up Design Space and that you are on a brand new blank canvas. You're going to want to use your mouse and come on over to the left side of your screen, scroll down until you find that upload button and select it. When you come to this screen, you're going to want to select Upload Image and then Browse. And you want to go and find where on your computer, your laptop, your device, your tablet, wherever it is that you downloaded the file, you're going to want to go and find that file that has SVG written on it and then bring it into Design Space. I already have mine in there, so I'm going to select Back. And as you can see, mine's right here. So I have it selected, and then I'm going to come over to the left side of the right side of my screen and select Add to Canvas. And now Design Space will bring it onto my canvas screen. So as you can see, there are a lot of different pieces to this file here. And what we are first going to do is make sure that the design is selected, and you can tell that it's selected by this box that's outlining everything. Come up over here to this button underneath the layers and ungroup. And that will ungroup the design as a whole, but there is going to be a lot more ungrouping as we go. What we are going to cut out first is this big brown piece here, which will be the envelope. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to begin just to select this eyeball over here in the layers panel to hide the different elements of the file. So I'm going to hide just about everything, and then I'm going to come back and unhide as we continue cutting. So I'm just clicking the eyeball for all the different sections here. And again, until I can't see anything else but that brown envelope. And that did it. So now I'm going to select the envelope. And as I can see over on the layers panel, it selected these two parts. One will be the actual envelope itself, and then the one above is the cut lines. These are the lines that we're going to change to score lines, so that way when we go to fold it, it's already done the hard work for us. So I'm going to select these lines here, and then I'm going to come over to the Operations panel, click the drop-down menu, and change it to Score. And you can see that it did score them because right now those solid cut lines now changed to dash lines. I'm going to make sure that I have both of these selected again, and I can either right-click inside this box here to find the Attach, or I can select Attach over here to the right lower corner of my screen. So I'm going to select Attach, then select Make It. I can see it here on my preview screen that yes, I'm going to do this. It also says Score and Basic Cut over here on the left side of my screen. My material size is 12 inch by 12 inch, and then I'm going to select Continue. And I always forget this part. I'm going to wait for my computer and my machine to talk to each other and connect. I'm going to cut this on the cardstock 80-pound setting. As you can see, it just connected. I need to make sure that my scoring stylus is loaded. I'm using my fine point blade, and then I'm going to select Go. I already have my mat loaded in my machine, so I'm going to select Go, and then I will meet you back here on the canvas, and we'll cut out the rest of it. Okay, so I finished cutting out the envelope. Everything worked beautifully. So what I'm going to do now, I'm back on my canvas. What I'm going to do now is come over here and select this Undo button, which will detach the envelope from the canvas. And I'm going to select these two pieces, and it highlighted it over here for me in my layers panel. And what I like to do is when I cut things, and when I'm cutting a big file and I begin to cut things, I like to delete them so that way it begins to reduce the size of my layers panel, so that way I know what I've cut and what I haven't cut. So I'm just going to delete this from my canvas, and that's it. Now I'm going to come back up here towards the top, and I'm going to begin to unhide some of these elements that I'm going to cut next. So I'm going to unhide this first one, which is part of my flowers. I'm going to select it, and as I can see, it's grouped together with something else. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this part over, and then I'm going to come down to the next one and select this eyeball again to unhide it. This will be the back part of the center of my petals. So I'm going to bring this one over here as well. And now I am going to begin to cut some of the yellow parts of my flower. So these are my yellow flowers, and they're all grouped together. So I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to ungroup it, and I'm going to click off and then click again to see. So I have 3 parts here. So this was my second one. So this will be my center. I want this to be a different color, but I want my back and my front ones to be the same. So I think I'm going to stick here with this, and we're going to do some rearranging now to start. I am going to use a 6" by 12" yellow cardstock. And so I'm going to rearrange these yellow ones here so that way I can cut it out on that 6" by 12" yellow cardstock. And so I'm going to ungroup this so I can bring it up a little bit closer together without overlapping anything. And the same thing with this one here. I'm going to ungroup it, and then I'm just going to, I have to ungroup this one because as you can see, these are overlapping and they're not welded together, which means that I need them to stay separate. So I'm going to just rearrange these up here and just kind of smush everything in so that way I'm maximizing the space on my cardstock. And so these will be my light yellow of my flower. And then for this one here, this will be my my second layer of the petals. I'm going to cut these down here, and I'm going to use a 6" by 6" darker yellow cardstock. So I'm going to ungroup these as well because I need to rearrange them because I can see that they're overlapping. So I'm going to make sure that I stay right here between my 6" and 6" right there. So I'm going to put it, I'm just going to spread these out so that way they don't overlap. And same thing with these bottom ones. Just going to spread them out right here so they don't overlap. Okay, so that will be that part. And then for the center part of the flowers, I'm going to bring these down here. And I'm going to ungroup these and smush them in a little bit more. So ungroup, and then I'm not sure what size cardstock I'll use for this. I might just see how much I need here when I go to cut these. So it looks like maybe a 3" by 3" square would be sufficient. So I'm going to make my 3 inches here by 3 inches there. And then the same thing with this one. Here I'm going to ungroup it and again smush everything in so it's on a 3" by 3". And like I said, this file is huge, but it's going to be just a lot of rearranging. And I like to cut out as much as I can as possible. And I also know that my label that's going to go on the front is also going to be yellow, and I'm going to make it that light yellow. So I'm going to come over here to the layers panel, and I'm going to find that label there. These are the greens and the grass, and this will be it right here. It's going to pop up. I think it's down bottom. It is. Okay. So see this outer part here? That's the outer part of the sign, the yellow. I want that to cut as well on my light yellow. So again, I'm going to come over here and hide some of these. And then there's a green one that's still showing, that one. So, and then I'm going to take this and bring it up here onto the same color of my mat there. or my light yellow there. Okay, so this is a lot to cut on one mat, but we're going to get through a lot of it by doing it this way. So now that I have all of these pieces lined up and ready to go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select them all, and my screen just shifted over. Okay, I'm going to select them all, and I want to attach them on my mat here. So either right click here and then select attach, or you can come over here and then attach it here. So I'm going to attach it, and then I'm going to select make it. And so I'm going to come over to this part of my screen and to make sure that everything looks good. Okay, so once I'm on here, this is not going to be a scoring sheet. I am going to set up my mat with a 6-inch by 12-inch sheet of light yellow cardstock. Then I'm going to set up the lower part of my mat with a 6-inch by 6-inch dark yellow cardstock. I'm also going to use a 3-inch by 3-inch square of light brown cardstock or tan, and then another 3-inch by 3-inch square of like a darker tan or a craft color cardstock. And I'm going to cut all of these out on this one mat. So once I'm going to set up my mat, and then once I do, then I'll come back and we'll head to the next step. Okay, so I set up my mat, it's ready to go. I'm going to select continue, wait for my computer to connect again with my machine, and it has. I'm using the cardstock 80-pound setting. My machine is ready to go. I'm going to select go, and once everything cuts out, I'll meet you back on the canvas again and we'll cut the next part. Okay, so I just cut out everything on this mat and it all cut beautifully. So I'm back on my canvas now and I'm ready for the next section. What I'm going to do is come again back over to this undo button. I'm going to select it, which will detach everything again from my canvas. And now I can go through and delete these. So I'm going to delete the insides of the flowers and then the second layer of the petals. And then I'm going to come up and delete these as well for the petals and this one for the petals. For the sign, don't delete that one just yet. You're going to want to select it because it's still grouped together with all of the other layers. So you're going to want to select it and make sure that it's highlighted in your layers panel. Select the ungroup button. And now you can go through and just delete this one layer. I think my computer just froze. That's funny. It totally did. Okay, that was so funny. It was like it froze. So I'm going to delete just this one part because otherwise, if I deleted it without ungrouping it, it would delete all of those elements as well. And I just wanted to make sure that it deleted that one part. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to come back up to the top and I'm going to cut the flowers of my second layer, which are going to be my lilac colors. So I'm going to come all the way back to the top. I'm going to use my eyeball again to unhide these pieces. And I am also going to unhide the front part of the sign, which is also going to be of that lilac color. So I'm going to scroll back down again using my layers panel and find that front part of the sign right here and then select the eyeball to unhide it. Okay, so these are what I'm going to cut first. So I'm going to click the flowers and I can see that these are grouped together. So I'm going to come over again to the ungroup button and select that. And now let's see, I can bring these apart. Okay, so again, I want the bottom and the top layer to be the same color. So making sure that I'm back into my 0, window here, I'm going to bring these up here and put them there. Now these two front ones, I can tell that they're overlapping and they need to be ungrouped and separated. So I'm going to make sure they're selected and then come over and ungroup these and then separate them just a little bit to give them some cut space. And then for the sign, I'm going to make sure that I cut that on this color as well. And then for the second part, the second layer of this flower, I'm going to use a darker purple for this one. And so I'm going to bring these up here. And then these are also overlapping. So I need to ungroup them and then move these over as well. So I still have room on this mat. So I'm going to see what else I can cut, which might be some of my green layers here. I think what I'll cut is the grass. So find the group that has the grass. You can tell they're grouped together here. I'm going to select the eyeball and unhide it. And this is what the grass looks like. So I'm going to grab it and bring it down here to about that 4-inch mark. And I'm going to ungroup this as well because there's 2 of them here. They're just stacked on top of each other and I need 2. So I'm going to ungroup it, and it did not ungroup. So did it? Yes, it did. And then I'm going to move it over there. And I'm wondering, I might bring it underneath because I might be able to fit another one on here. Will I? I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I will. Okay. So I'm going to make sure I'm over here as far as possible. I'm at the 4-inch line here, and I'm going to put this one underneath there. And what I need to do now is to change these long cut lines to score lines. So I'm going to select it, and it highlighted it over here on my layers panel. I'm going to find these 2 lines here, select the lines, come over to the operations panel, select the drop-down menu, and then change it to score. And I can see because it made a dashed line now. I'm going to do that for this other grass layer as well. I'm going to find the cut lines over here on the layers panel, select those, and then come back over to operations and change it to score. And that looks good. And so I'm also going to cut the front. No. Let me think. No, I'm going to let this go for this mat here. So now that I have everything ready, what I'm going to need now is about a 4-inch by 6-inch piece of a light lavender cardstock. And then I'm also going to need, I'll probably make it a 6-inch by 2-inch darker lavender cardstock. And then another 6-inch by 12-inch of a dark green that I will use for the grass layers. And so I'm going to grab all of these now to select them. And then again, these need to be attached. So I'm going to right click and then either select attach here, or you can select attach over on the lower right corner of your screen. And that changes everything to the same color, but that's okay because my mat will not look like that. And then I'm going to select make it. And again, I'm going to now set up my mat. I'm going to make sure that I'm using a 4-inch by 6-inch of a light lavender cardstock, and then a 6-inch by 12-inch of a dark lavender, and then a 4-inch by 12-inch of a dark green cardstock. So I'm going to go set that up on my mat, and then I'll be back in just a second and we'll move on to the next part. Okay, so I set up my mat. It's ready to go with my cardstock here. I'm going to select continue, wait again for my computer to connect with my machine. Once it does, I'm going to go ahead and hit the go button. Make sure again that your scoring tool is loaded because we're going to be scoring on this mat as well. And so mine has connected. I'm going to hit go, and then I will meet you back again on the main canvas and we'll cut out the next parts. We're almost done. Yay. Okay, so I am now back on my canvas here. I just finished cutting out these. They cut beautifully. So I'm going to come back over to the upper part or the upper left part of my screen and select that undo button just to detach everything again from the canvas. And for this part, once more, now that I've cut all of these out, I'm just going to select them all. And now I'm just going to delete them to remove them. So as you can tell, our layers panel now is really starting to shrink, which is good. It makes it easier for us to see everything. So the next part that we're ready to cut out are for the green parts of the backing, or I guess you could say like the leaves where the flowers are going to adhere to. So I'm going to come up here and select this first one because that's going to be my front layer. My second one, I'm actually going to cut that in a different shade of green. So that way it adds a little bit of depth and variation to my eyes when I look at it. So I'm going to wait on hiding this one for the next round. And then I'm going to unhide this larger one here, which will be my very back one. And I am also going to cut out the outer part of the box that I will be using to wrap everything together to kind of hide all of the different layers that I'll be adding inside. So that will be this very bottom one. And then I need those score lines that are attached to this one. So I'm going to go right above and select it. Select this one here. I guess you can't really see it, but I'm going to unhide that. And it added lines right there. So these are going to be my score lines. So that's all I'm going to be cutting on this one. But this back one here actually has 3 pieces to it. So what I need to do now is take this smaller one and move it away and select again the back one and ungroup it because I need to get only this back piece here. So I'm going to select that one and then kind of drag it off. And so you can see, right? There were 3 different sections here. So I'm going to select the box and move that down. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin to just smush everything in here. And that one, I'm just going to bring it in right about there. And then for this lower one, the smaller one, I'm just going to bring it up right there. And so for the box, I think I'm actually going to end up having to rotate this one. So I'm going to come up here and rotate it 90 degrees. And I'm going to bring it in right here next to this one. I'm trying to think if I should rearrange it so that way I can save some of my cardstock. I think I'm going to. I'm going to grab all of these here and I'm going to bring the box over. I can't seem to grab it. There it is. Over this way so I can save some of my cardstock. I'll be able to get a better square with my leftover cardstock if I do it this way. And I ended up moving those 2. I didn't want to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to smush it up there. Same thing with these. Just going to smush them right there. I might even be able to, I think that should be fine. It shouldn't hit the edge. And so what I need to do now is kind of go through and change these 2 score lines. So I'm going to select the lines. Did it select it? Yes. So I'm going to select the lines. I'm going to come over to the operations panel and then change it to score. And it did because now I have dashed lines. I'm going to do that for here as well. Select the lines and again, change it to score. And same thing with these here. These are grouped together. So I'm going to come over to my layers panel and select only the lines and then change it to score. And that's going to do it for this one. And so again, what I'm going to do is grab all of these pieces and then I'm going to just attach them and I'm going to cut this out on the same color sheet of green cardstock. So I'll need one 12 by 12 inch green cardstock here. I'm going to select Make It and I can see here from my matte preview that I've got my score lines here and everything looks like it's going to fit nicely. I can check here to see that it's going to do the score in the basic cut. I'm going to select Continue and wait for my computer to connect here. Hopefully it's a little quicker. My mat is already loaded with my green cardstock, so I'm going to select go, and I will meet you back on the canvas for the next cut. Okay, phew, that was it. Okay, so I cut these elements out on my green sheet of cardstock. I'm now back on my canvas, so I'm going to go up here again to the undo button to detach everything from my canvas. And once again, now that I've cut these, I'm just going to grab them all again and then just delete them. What I'm left with now is the second layer of my flowers. I'm just selecting the eyeball to unhide them, and the fence post of my box front there. And these two I'm going to cut again on the same mat. I am just going to bring up the fence post here, and that's going to be on a white sheet of cardstock, and these second layers here. And so the second layer again also has 3 parts here. You can see it over here in the layers panel. What I need to do is come over to the ungroup button to ungroup it. I'm going to grab that top one here and then just drag it over, so that way I can cut out both of these. Now I know you're wondering why some of these have 2. They have 2 because the weight of the flowers are going to be too heavy for 1 sheet of cardstock. And so we need the 2 of them there to just add that extra support and strength to the top part of the layer. So when the flowers are glued on, they're not going to cause the cardstock to bend forward, that they will be able to stay upright and hold the weight. So that's why we have to make sure that we have 2. Okay, so now that you know that, we are ready now to change these lines here to score lines. So make sure that they are selected and then go over to the operation panel, click on the drop-down menu and then select score. And that changed it to score lines. We can tell because of the dashed lines. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up my cardstock with a probably 4x12 sheet of white cardstock, and then let's see, what is the dimension here? Probably, this looks like maybe it's about 5 inches high. So I'll probably just add a 6x12 inch of olive cardstock, an olive green cardstock, to cut out these green layers here. And I'm going to select all of these again, then right click and then attach. And then I'm going to select make it. And I can see that, yes, it's going to do the score in the basic cut. I like the position of everything here on my mat. It's all going to fit nicely. I'm going to set up my mat with the sheets of cardstock, and I'm going to select continue. And I'm going to wait for my machine to connect. And once this part is done, I've finished cutting out all of the different elements, and I will end up just meeting you back at the table where we will go through the assembly together, okay? So my machine's ready to go. I'm going to select go, and I'll meet you at the table in a few moments, and we will go through the assembly.